Hello, everyone, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. It is evening, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. Welcome. I'm Dadman Walking 55, and I will say, yes, I am fashionably late, CJ, making a great appearance, keeping everybody in a dramatic pause. Uh, what other way would it be than to do that for a Dadman Walking production? But glad to some of y'all are here already, and looking forward to having a nice recap show tonight with the results from this weekend. Some surprising results in some cases, some very significant results with some of the results that have happened have a lot of know long range ramifications for the rest of the season. Uh, really a very interesting weekend. Some expected things and some not so expected things occurred this weekend in the Southeastern Conference. Um, so we're going to greet the chat. We're going to say hi to a few people, just check some things out, welcome people that are here now, and see where we go from here and have some fun. If you have any questions tonight, feel free to say hi, leave your questions in the chat. Let's have a conversation. Um, you know, have fun with this show. Um, and we can talk a little bit. We'll review this week's results in more detail in our show later this week, and we'll hit a few more things. I want to use some firsthand action from the game between Georgia and Tennessee, some sights of the crowds, and even the Tennessee band from my on-the-spot oldest reporter, my oldest kid up in Athens. So, those are some lovely pictures. It's a beautiful stadium that we got to walk in this July ourselves. So hope to get that to you. I've just got to work out how to open it and that stuff. Me and technical issues are always interesting, and we've had an interesting day with some technical issues around here. But we're back here tonight live for a great show. Look forward to this update every week. And CJ, the strippers only come here when you pay for them. I'm too cheap. Remember, I'm Dadman. I don't pay for stuff like that. I crash the party so other people foot the bill. And Whoopa, hey, glad you're here, man. You're going to love the results, but don't encourage CJ with that, please. Oh, or at least make him pay for them. So, anyway, and that's, of course, fashionably late. Yes, I always love making an appearance entering the room just like I do when I play Fortnite. So, love it. Glad y'all are here already. Hopefully, we have some more join us along the way. Of course, we've got to say a wonderful. Well, let's see this. Yeah, CJ's thinking small panic attack. No, not really. That was earlier today. CJ, love that you talked about yourself in the third person, going to get a beer. Whoopa likes the idea of a beer. Again, Whoopa, make CJ pay for it, though. Oh, but look at CJ. He'll fetch you one. Oh, that's cool. Is Canadian beer good? I don't know. I don't drink, so I figured probably English is the way. But, you never know. Maybe Canadians do a good job brewing your own stuff. And a wonderful shout out and the lady who keeps the operations around here going full steam ahead and helps react to all kinds of uncertainties, last minute pop-ups and everything else is the wonderful, beautiful Mrs. Dadman Walking 55. So glad she's here tonight with us again. CJ, I don't know what 6.5% means, but to me, well, not 100% alcohol. But, and again, that's why I don't drink. So, and hey, I'll wave back to you, CJ. Welcome to you. Huzzah, Whoopa, obviously, definitely. And what about Whoopa? Now, see, CJ, now you got Whoopa talking third person about himself. Well, because you're the cool Whooper. So, anyway. Oh, great. Now we got the missus offering to cook people for dinner. I might play privately a little bit tonight, but I'll get with you tomorrow. Maybe we'll see what happens. So, no, you don't get my cookies. Mrs. Dadmom gets them. So, and the missus likes the German beer. So, hey, 100% would kill you. Okay, thank you. That's why I asked questions. So thank you for keeping me from doing something insane. Because you know me, I don't like light and I don't like discounts. So, and then Whoopa wants a sub sandwich. That's cool. We like subs around here. So, with 5 people watching, welcome everybody. If you're lurking, thank you for being here. We're going to have an interesting stream tonight. It'll go as long as you guys in the chat want to talk football. As we do each week, we recap briefly the scores, and I may make a few comments about the games yesterday involving the teams from the Southeastern Conference. We will look at the results of those games and the effects on our picks with our guest picker, who this week was Whoopa Troopa. And then we will take a look at the standings of the SEC as a result of the action and look at the changes in the top 25. So, with that, we'll take one more comment on beer. Average is 2% in the Canadian beer. Basically, you'll be able to find a beer brand you like. They're literally thousands. Yeah, I understand, especially with home brews and other things that are out there. So, well, with that, let us go. Let us get into the meat of the show while we're here, where we stand. Week 10. Very interesting week this week, I will say. And as I said earlier, the great Whoopa Troopa with the whooper. Hey, no arms. Hey, look, Ma, no hands. So what a wonderful Pokemon avatar there. What he's known for his channel, and also go check him out at over on YouTube with Whoopa Troopa. And as he does stuff coming up, hopefully the internet connection gets back for him and see him here tonight. So that's cool. And as we know, CJ always likes derailing the chat. Hey, Beer Talk's okay. You know what? You're right. It's a crossover with football watchers. Absolutely. Absolutely. And as Whoopa says, hands are overrated. Exactly. So, hey, unless you're a wide receiver, then you need those hands. So, well, let's go with that. Let's start off with, and the winner is, well, the first game that we picked that we both agreed on with the winning team was Mississippi State, which took overtime to beat a struggling Auburn team. Mississippi State had a big lead early. Auburn rallied to force it to overtime, but Mississippi State held off and managed to win the game. Would have been a huge upset had Auburn pulled that up. So, true, which is why you played safety. Yes, that's why they all say the people that can't catch or use their hands in football get put in the defensive backfield or linebacker, they're put on defense. But yes. So the first game we agreed, Mississippi State wins. There's one other game that we agreed on. Out of the 7 games, we agreed on 2 games. The second game was Liberty and Arkansas. Well, Liberty upsets Arkansas on the road in Fayetteville, 21-19. And we will see what happened with that with Liberty this week and the results of that. So with that, the next screen is going to show what the cumulative effect of what happened with where we disagreed with 4 games. And Whoopa was hot this week. Whoopa took 4 of the 5. LSU going for 2 in overtime to beat Alabama 32-31. Kentucky outlasting Missouri 21-17. The Gators somehow coming alive on offense, and in the second half shut out Texas A&M, winning the game 41-24. The game was 24-20 A&M at halftime. How the Gators played defense second half, I don't know. They did. They got the win on the road, which really surprised me, but Whoopa called it. Good for you, Whoopa. And then South Carolina, I gave Vanderbilt too much credit, but yes, South Carolina had the offense with Vanderbilt with no defense, wins that game 38-27 on the road. The one game that we disagreed on that I got correct was the Georgia-Tennessee game, where Georgia moves back to number 1 in the college football poll, but still number 1 in the AP poll, winning that game 27-13. The outcome was never in doubt with that game. So, and I will say, yes, No, I didn't, Whoopa. I did not see that. We might have to find video of that. But I would not doubt Mike Leach did that because they had a huge lead in that game. That was very unexpected what Auburn did in that game. Yeah, but I know a lot of people don't like Mike Leach, so I could imagine it was Steve Spurrier who'd been throwing the visor all around the field. So, but hey, and Mrs. says, "Way to go, Whoopa! Good job, Whoopa." And CJ, I was a QB for 3 months. I went to regular college before I fluked out. I best performed my program. Wow. Yeah. When I went to college 30 years ago, yeah, you still had to have 2 PE credits. I got B in both of them. And one person said the tennis class made my tennis game worse by taking it. So sometimes I don't think college helps you. So here we go with that. The overall result. I was 2 right, 5 wrong. The great Whoopa Troopa was 5-2, which pulls the guest within 5 games again. I'm overall 62-23, and the guests are a combined 57-28. So that's where we sit after this week. Let me see. Whoopa sent a tweet. Let me see. Whoopa DM. Yeah. Barstool Sports. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go out to Barstool Sports and see it. Oh, wow. Yeah, he didn't want him sitting, did he? That is interesting. Folks, basically what he did was he just went down the road on the bench where the players would sit. He didn't want them sitting there. So, hey, Miss Daisy Blossom, it's so wonderful to see you here tonight. Glad you're here. And you're here just in time to see that Whoopa Troopa came through this week, crushing me by 3 games. And all credit to Whoopa. Great job, guy. Great job. So, yeah, and if you can check it, I might tweet it out later where I can. If you go check it on our Twitter page. It is very interesting to see what Mike Leach did very calmly. I will say he was very polite. And then our friend CJ had to take actual gym because only sports credit getting us. Wow, I didn't know they had real gym. I took a tennis class and a soccer class. I got to be in both. The cranky jerk soccer coach for the university just never taught anything, then had a test at the end. But the big basketball player that had bad knees and couldn't do anything in class obviously got an A. But, that's how it goes. Hey, Liam Graywolf. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Hey, everybody's coming through now. Say Miss Daisy saying hi to Mrs. Hello, Jess, SBD girl. Glad to see you tonight. Glad you're here for a football show. Oh, man. Appreciate you being here. And the Mrs. took bowling. Yeah. But, Mrs. and I have a bowling story, which is basically when we were dating, I hit the wax lane and slid about 10 feet down on my stomach, and all I heard was laughter behind me. Just sitting there laughing. Didn't get up. So I had to walk back gingerly. So, but hey, it's all a great story. Yeah, you love to see it. Yeah, I agree with the chaos. And I tell you, at one point, I would have thought that Tennessee would have won, but like I said in that matchup, that was one that I had to take the big dog, the champ, until they were beaten, especially with them being at home. Had the game been in Knoxville, I very likely would have taken Tennessee. Yes. Oh, and everybody on Twitch, Whoopa Troopa is over on YouTube tonight. He says to tell you all hello over there. So, and then let's see. So it didn't count at credits. What the hell? When you're playing varsity football, you don't get the credits for the class. SPD girl, yes, LSU, Alabama. For those of you that did not see what happened with that game, Alabama comes back, ties it, goes to overtime. Alabama scores the first touchdown. LSU scores a touchdown on the first play, but instead of kicking an extra point, going for the tie to extend the game, they went for 2. Ran a quick out, got it. And they had a storming the field moment because they beat Alabama. I mean, it was good credit to LSU for the win. teams played a very surprising team this year, which maybe talk a little bit more down the week about it. But honestly, well, let's look at the standings and I'll say what I got to say about things in the SEC. Yeah. Okay. Mrs. Repeats. Twitchland. Hi. Twitchland. I like that term. Is that the moment you knew? No, actually, I think the moment I knew she was the one was when I got bold and tried to make my move, and I put my hand on her leg, and I got this look like, "What the Sam? Fleep, 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 are you doing?" And in fact, I actually walked out of the movie theater with my teeth. That might have been the moment, but yeah, it was a keeper. It definitely was a fun one. So, but hey, all righty then, and all the hellos, everybody. Liam, SBD girl, Daisy, glad y'all are all here. Like I said earlier when we started, if you have any questions, if there's anything that you're confused by with football in general, anything that may have happened this weekend that you heard about, feel free to ask a question, throw something in the chat. We'd love to talk football tonight, at least for a little bit. It's a brief recap show, but we can still hit some topics if there's anything that anybody has a question about, even if it's a general question, even if it's not, about this week's games. I'll try to do what I can do to, answer the questions you may have. Which brings us now to the standings in the SEC after week 10 of action. So I will tell this why true Canadian football isn't real football. Ask Ram to conduct that. I think he thinks the Canadians have it better than us Americans. And because we're America and soccer is still soccer. Soccer is not football. So anyway, we'll look at the SEC standings overall. Some, like I said earlier, big ramifications out of this week's results in both the East and the West. In the East, Georgia now takes command of the Eastern Division, now having beaten Tennessee head-to-head. Georgia has only 2 conference games left. Both are all road games, but it's against Mississippi State, who's 3-3 in the conference, 6-3 overall, and Kentucky with the same record. So Georgia should advance and win out, but the only way for Tennessee to actually win the Eastern Division is for Georgia to lose both games. So if Georgia wins at Mississippi State this week, Georgia wins the SEC East and is guaranteed a berth in the championship game in Atlanta in December. Yeah, I ignored the woodchuck and got it. Yes, I like potassium peely. Nothing like having some potassium to strengthen you. So in the East, it's all over, but for the shouting effectively, Tennessee really has no shot of jumping Georgia because Georgia had a scare against Missouri a while back. But Kentucky has some defense that could give Georgia fits, but Kentucky's offense is so ineffective right now for scoring points. Like this week, last week, only scoring 6 against Tennessee. So practically Georgia's won the Eastern Division. As for top to bottom, Tennessee's moved into second solidly with Carolina, Kentucky, Florida, Missouri, all trying to figure out who's going to finish up in third or weaker. So we'll see what happens. Florida plays South Carolina this week. Could move into tie with them. Kentucky has Georgia. And then Missouri. So we'll see. The middle of the road there is to be determined. A lot of action as to who ends up where. Well, I think for Florida, it's better. The more wins that they can make to finish higher in the standings will help them psychologically, at least for this year, considering what it could have been. Personally, I'm in trouble with some of my Gator fans being too hard on the coaching staff and stuff. Yes, this week they had a very impressive win at Texas A&M. I don't know if that's more that Texas A&M is a dumpster fire right now than Florida's coaching staff really doing a lot. But in that game, and I'll talk more about the game in our regular show, but they ran the offense that was expected with a running quarterback that can throw. The quarterback actually ran the ball. It was part of the offense. It was not expected to just drop back, sit in the pocket all the time. So there were some improvements, some areas of hope. But when I'm a Florida fan with a new first-year coach, I look at LSU, who has a first-year coach also, but has had experience at the Division I level, has taken a team that had 39 transfers out of the program, brought enough talent in, and now they're 7th in the nation, 5-1 in the West, 7-2 overall. And LSU is in control of its own destiny. They've beaten Ole Miss and Alabama head-to-head. Ole Miss will have to win out, and LSU would have to lose another conference game for Ole Miss to actually win the SEC West to go to Atlanta. So not quite over, but LSU's getting hot at the right time of year. Started with the Florida game and moved on after that. Let me see real quick in the chat. Georgia got the East, but Tennessee. Honestly though, let's look at the top 25 in the AP. I know there's a college football poll. I think Tennessee's going to have a lot of help for that to happen. And I'll explain why when we look at the polls and I talk more about the conference championship game. Yes, Whoopa. Alabama season done. I mean, who would have thought Alabama season done first week of November? That's unless there's some insanity. But yes, there are a lot of people happy that Alabama is on the outside looking in this year, and I don't think anybody can help them really. And then CJ with his band. We love bands here. We love bands because it's a great part of college football. Get night shows when they practice. Half annoying, half cool. Yeah. Get them to play the Gator Fight song. See if you can do that. See if they can find the sheet music to the Florida Fight song and see if they'll do it for you. And yes, Whoopa, absolutely. Anthony Richardson looked very good. I believe a lot of that had to do with the way they restructured the offense, because some of the games this year when he's really struggled, they put him into drop back passing, really not taking advantage of his running ability. I've watched every game, well, except for one this year, because just some games you just don't waste your time on. But the game that I saw yesterday and the Utah game were the two games where I saw that he was effectively used as a runner by design. And the offense was dramatically better than games against Kentucky, where he threw 2 picks, basically for pick sixes, essentially, and some other games where he just was expected to throw the ball all the time and just was not effective in that role. But yes, give him credit. Kid did great yesterday. Okay, and then here, Ole Miss. Yep. Ole Miss, Alabama play this week. Yeah, bam. That is, and you know you're right with that too. Ole Miss has to beat Alabama. Alabama's had it. LSU's beaten both. So this is a huge week. If Ole Miss wants to stay in, they've got to beat Alabama. And like you said, Bama may be playing poorly or weakening, but you know you've got to beat them. So, and in the West, let me see. Let's see. Ole Miss has takedown. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, they're French, CJ, but you know what? Go get them the sheet music and give it to them. They'll play it for you. You got good neighbors. Hey, yep. Hey, you're right. There's a lot of cool people in here, and we got 10 people watching, so we may have some lurkers too. Thank you to everybody that's here, though. Whether you're lurking, watching, make sure you leave a follow on the YouTube side, the Twitter side, Twitch side if you haven't, and like the video and subscribe on the YouTube side. We love it. And if you're lurking, thank you for here. Mrs. Welcomes Whoopa to the cool side. Hello, input latency. Thank you for dropping by to leave a like and say hi. May not be going that long because this is more of a shorter show, but hey, hopefully you're still here listening long enough to understand that Whoopa was the champ this week by 3 games. He really cleaned house. So, but thank you for stopping by, very much so. And thank you, CJ, for dropping that Twitch link. If y'all can drop also the YouTube link, I'd appreciate it, and the Twitter link. So, but on the West, it's LSU's to lose. And let me see real quick with something real quick that I had earlier. Give me 1 second. Let me take this down a second. Oops. Actually did something wrong. I'll bring it back up in a second. Looking at LSU's remaining games, LSU is at Arkansas, plays home UAB non-conference game, and then on the road at Texas. So basically, LSU's got 2 road games in the conference: Arkansas and Texas A&M to finish the season. Those are very winnable games for them. But as anything happens in that Southeastern Conference, sometime going on that road can actually hurt you. The crowd noises. Look at Alabama getting tripped up this week. There's a lot that can be said. Well, what's going on? Hey, hi, Squeaka. Yeah, Whoopa the Wimpa. Yes, he did. He did very, very well. Very, very well. And, you didn't do bad yourself. All the guest pickers have generally done pretty darn well. So anyway, but yeah, LSU with the road games at Arkansas and Texas A&M. So LSU's not made it yet by any means. They still could trip up in those 2 games, even though Texas A&M is in the dumpster. This last weekend they played Florida weekend with a lot of players out because of the flu, which is ironic considering 2020. I won't go back to 2020 again. I don't like College Station. I just do not like College Station. And then, of course, it doesn't help that Jumbo Fisher's their head coach. But, hey, that's just my personal thing. But, listen, I love the fans. So, yeah, I'll be respectful. So, but then again, Texas A&M is in the bottom with Auburn. Who saw that coming this year? And Arkansas is barely ahead of them. So, looking statistically, looking at standards, you would think LSU should cruise easily. But never underestimate road games in the conference and the difficulty that they present. LSU should know because Alabama goes into LSU and gets knocked off. Ole Miss went into LSU, got knocked off. It's very, very difficult to win within the conference. And as I always say, our good old friends at Mississippi State, if you want more cowbell, go to Starkville, Mississippi. They'll give you plenty of cowbell. With that said, there's pretty much, like I said, the West is really LSU's to lose at this point. We'll see what happens this week. Now, if Ole Miss loses, I think you pretty much guarantee LSU wins the West, though. So there's with LSU with 2 games in the conference left, there's no way Alabama can jump them, having lost a head-to-head. Ole Miss cannot tie LSU. Ole Miss has to have a better record than LSU because Ole Miss lost to LSU. So, that's where the things sit in the East and in the West as we got it going today. Man, exactly. Yeah, I know, CJ. We had a lot of the same picks except for one, but hey, it happened, and yeah, I got my butt whooped. Okay, I agree. The only pick I regretted looking back at it was really the Vanderbilt pick. I must have been drinking on that one, and I don't drink, so hey. Yes, haha, yeah. I love you guys. I would not be here without you too. And thank you, Carlos, also I won't even try that. So, but thank you all 3 for all that you do here. And yes, LSU Daisy Blossom is Louisiana State University. Absolutely. Sorry about that, but it's hard to fit in. But yes, good question. Love it there. So without any further ado with that, we'll go ahead and move on to the top 25. But like I said earlier, keep asking questions, or if you have comments, feel free to throw it in there. And then I'm used to failing. I just got to throw it against the wall and go forward. It's the auditor and me. I'm used to having a thick skin and just move on. That's the way it is. So, hey. Well, this week in the AP Top 25, and granted, you'll see different polls. There's the coaches poll we also cite. There's the playoff poll, which I do not use. I traditionally sticking with AP Top 25 at this point. There's a lot of fallout here nationally. Well, we know that Georgia almost unanimous in the number 1 spot with 62 of the 63 first place votes. Ohio State got the remaining first place vote at number 2. Michigan also in the Big 12. Big 10. I know Whoopa. It's a 12-team conference, but they call it the Big 10. Michigan right behind. So that game at the end of the year is going to be huge in a national championship picture. And then TCU talk about the Big 12, moved up to fourth. They've passed Tennessee this week, the last of the undefeated. So we have 4 major programs that are still undefeated, and they are in the top 4. So if today it ended, then it wouldn't end that because Ohio State and Michigan have to play, but good chance the Big 12 will have a team in this year looking at it as it resides. Unless something crazy happens, you'll have at least one SEC team. As you can see, 3 of the top 7 teams are from the Southeastern Conference. Now, to the point about Tennessee making the playoff, personally, I'm not certain about that. If this happens, LSU wins out, Georgia wins out, they meet in Atlanta, LSU wins over Georgia. LSU, by virtue of being the SEC title, would have to be there, even with 2 losses. Georgia with 1 loss, especially if it's a close game, sort of like what happened with Alabama and Georgia last year, would make the championship game. So then you got one of the Big Ten teams, and TCU, if TCU can win out, would be probably the 4th team. So honestly, I don't see Tennessee. It's going to take a lot of luck and help for Tennessee to make it. Probably the situation where that could happen is you have a Big 10 team losing. Probably it would help that TCU Big 12 loses. Georgia wins the SEC championship game. You got one Big 10 team, and then Tennessee slides up with or ahead of one of the Pac-12 teams. But hey, that remains to be seen. That's the beauty of college football. You got to sit around, bite your fingernails and everything else and stuff like that. So that's my point with the top, with how it looks going forward in the top. Let me check the chat. Yes, Whoopa, it is really bizarre with Liberty in the top 25. But if you look at the team, I agree with you. They have no quality wins. It's who have they beaten? And then Gardner-Webb. Remember that game we pointed out the other night where they came back late in a game? I mean, how do you have a team ranked in the top 25 when they have low quality competition? But that's always been the case. And the problems of a lot of teams and complaints, from the non-Power 5 teams. And yes, the Illini are in there. They lost this week, unfortunately. They dropped 7 spots. But yes, the Illini are back in there. They're becoming a football school again. For how long, we don't know. But, Brett Bielema, who had been at Wisconsin, had come down south to coach Arkansas for a number of years. That didn't work out, and they went back up north to replace Lovie Smith at Illinois, and he's apparently got the team turned around in the right direction, though. So, yeah, it's good to see teams like Illinois back in there, too. They're long gone that do have some football history. Whoopa, that's the spirit, Whoopa. Hey, y'all, congrats on taking Oklahoma down, too. That was an awesome win, too. Good job. Yeah, you're right. Big 12 team can't afford a 1 loss, So we'll all see. But see, one thing that is interesting is you've got 3 Pac-12 teams, all between 6 and 9 also. Unless they chew each other up and beat each other, then one of them looks like that they could get into the playoffs this year if things break their way. Which is funny that Oregon's number 6. Their only loss was a crushing loss to Georgia 49-3 at the beginning of the season. So that was pretty telling. And I tell you, I think it would happen again. Let's see. Something that happened. Yep, agreed, Whoopa. I'm waiting for the year that 3 SEC teams make it. And I tell you, if Ohio State can beat Michigan or one of the way, and one Big 12 Big 10 team, TCU loses, Oregon or USC, UCLA lose at some point, you could have 3 SEC teams potentially. If you want some wild, that would be wild. And of course, the rest of the country will howl and go nuts with that many SEC teams in it. But you know what? Honestly, they tend to be the best conference around, and they generally perform well. And then CJ Gas Sports Ball. Thank you for here, even though you have sports ball. Uh, yes, at least UCF when they were undefeated were the mostly killed bad competition. Yes, Cincinnati. Remember last year in the American Athletic Conference, also same conference as UCF. Cincinnati went undefeated. The polls broke their way, so they made the playoffs as a 4 seed because they played Alabama, who was the top seed, and they didn't get blown out badly, but they didn't do much with Alabama. You knew the game was over, pretty quickly. So, which goes to the whole debate of do smaller conferences or non-power 5 conferences have a seat at the table when you only have 4 teams. So, and the Illini are fun. And yes, yeah, love beating. Anytime you can beat up on Oklahoma or Texas, I know it's got to be a great thing. And I enjoyed our talk about that. Like in the next comment, think they make an SEC, can't even make a Big 12. Yeah, I wonder if Lincoln Riley knew something and why he ran out west. Especially when they made the announcement to go to the SEC. You wonder about the timing. And the alignment, though, in that debate, like we talked the other night, is really what I'm waiting to see how that plays out. Because honestly, what I'm afraid of is the geographic. What makes sense at this point is that Alabama and Auburn, 2 Alabama teams shift east. And then you take about, if you're Florida, you got Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky. It's going to be a killer division over there. The Western teams may have more of a shot because you never know with Oklahoma and Texas. So, but let's see what Whoopa says here. If Georgia wins out and wins a championship, Georgia, OSU, Michigan, TCU, Tennessee combination. That's very likely. We'll see what happens. We'll just have to see what happens. The wrinkle is, can LSU win at that championship game and with it on a neutral site? That's the big unknown. I mean, LSU, I discounted when LSU played Florida, but they're for real. They're not a bad team. You have to be impressed with them and what their quarterback's doing, especially with the way he scores both running and passing. So, and Whoopa Troopa. Yep. The only problem is it depends on how that Ohio State-Michigan game goes. I think even with SEC teams, if Ohio State crushes Michigan and they drop numerous spaces, then it might not be likely. But all remains to be seen. Oh, hey, Mods. Hey, Mods, can you deal with that for me real quick? We got new people in the chat. Oh, my gosh. Hey, really hit the big time right now. So, hey, appreciate it. Oh, man, I've always joked about that, but yeah, it's like, wow. But, hey, it's been a day, and I've had quite a few new experiences today, so it's been very, very interesting. So thank you, Mods. I think y'all got that. I appreciate y'all thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mods. Listen, thank the Mods here because they do a great job helping keep me in line, giving me a hard time. CJ, Mrs. Squeaka, Jess, SBD Girl is on the Twitch side. I need to still make you a mod on the YouTube side. I'm having an issue with that, but I got to remember that. But thank you all for the mods that you're doing here and taking your time and helping me out and keeping me safe and on the road with this stuff. So, hey, appreciate it. And then, okay, Squeaka. Yes, Florida State, woohoo! The FSU Seminoles, yeah. Love that team. All right, yeah. I did see them play Florida one time years ago when my dad and I went back in probably 1980, 81. It was Florida won 34-3 in an old game, and I got to walk down on the AstroTurf at that point. So that was a fun. FSU's always had a lot of history with Florida, so oh no, yes, yeah, exactly. So, although the first time I had one show up, I was on Purple Valkyrie. I was like, oh my gosh, I hit the big time when you get the bots. Yes, bots are on YouTube too. Absolutely. And yes, thank you, Mods. Yes, I will later. I don't know why I can't. I've tried. I'll do it after the show. I could not find your name out there on the YouTube side, but I will look again. But thank you for keeping me safe on the Twitch side, definitely so far. I'll definitely get that taken care of. And again, as Daisy says, love you, mods. Y'all do a great job here. Well, let's look a little bit more at the polls real quick. Clemson, by losing big time to Notre Dame, falls 7 places outside the top 10. So guess what? Atlantic Coast Conference, see you for next year. Your one team that had any chance is gone. It's actually impressive that the Pac-10 has 4 teams in the top 13. I mean, if you factor in Utah, even though they're really outside of the shot of the playoffs, but it's quite an interesting year for the Pac-10. Big 12, Big 10 still got Penn State up there. The ACC, North Carolina is near Clemson. Another American Conference, Tulane is 16. Mrs. loves Tulane. So, hey, Mrs. Never mind. I'll do it a little bit later. I got to go in the channel settings. So, NC State, and then hey, how about those great people in Texas? The Longhorns are back in at 6-3. We all love Texas, and it's going to be fun with Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC eventually in a few years. But I will tell you, I watched that game earlier this year with Alabama, Austin, at Texas. Dang, that place looked like a riot. So Notre Dame jumps in with a big win over Clemson. Debuts at 20 in the poll. We've got UCF, we mentioned earlier, moved up 3 spots. And unfortunately, my Beavers lost to frickin' Washington on a last-second field goal. Of course, they spent 10, 15, 20 minutes out of the game in delay because the lights went out. But Washington wins with a late field goal, comes into the poll at 24. And there's Squeaka's team, the Florida State Seminoles, at 25, making a debut into the poll for the first time this year. So while Florida's unranked. So, and there's Mrs. with Tulane. Yes, the SEC is weird this year. Pretty much every college but Vandy has great pedigree, but it seems like they're weaker than normal. Yes, I would say that is a true statement. But I kind of agree and I kind of don't agree with that. I think what's happened is the teams have flipped. The power structure has flipped a bit in terms of the middle of the pack, the teams that follow. See, Tennessee has now moved up to emerge behind Georgia, but really on the West, we could be seeing some transition between the guard. With Alabama, Ole Miss is not a bad team. They show some weaknesses against LSU, and LSU's playing pretty darn well to stop Alabama's offense the way they did. That's a team, LSU, that gave up 35 points to Florida. So they, I don't necessarily know that the conference is weaker. I just think there's some realignment among the powers of the divisions, especially the West, because how long can these teams keep up this? I know Nick Saban said, hey, for all you anti-Saban people, apparently he said that last year was a rebuilding year. At 7-2, 4-2 in the conference. If you thought last year was a rebuilding year, what the heck do you think this year is? So it's interesting though. Definitely some changes, and not necessarily bad, because I think it's good to have some different teams running through the top and have it showing up in the playoffs and championship games, because it really gets boring at times. Boo, get those UT bastards out of here. Yes, I agree, Whoopa. I never liked UT. I always called them the inbreds for many, many years, but with the kids growing up. But I've learned how to be nice, because I've met some very nice Tennessee fans in recent weeks, and they're really good. Oh, my God. Really? Wow. Wait. Oh, my gosh. The football show. This is the views. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Oh, wow. Anyway, on that note, CCJ, that's how you derail a chat. That's how you derail a chat. The Mrs. and Squeaker, professional chat hijackers. So, UT gets in the top 25 as OSU, who they lost to, goes out. Yep. It's all, I tell you, there is a lot of conference bias there could be there's always a lot of conference bias in the polls, especially with the Southeastern Conference. That's been proven to be that's been shown over the years. A lot of complaints about it, that the SBD girl gets a lot. Sorry, SBD girl, your chat just popped up. But that the teams from the SEC get apparent favor privilege when it comes to wins, losses, when they lose close games and stuff. Yeah, UT before. No, I don't think so, though, this time. I think the problem with Tennessee is this, that a lot of people have jumped on the bandwagon. They deserve to be up high like they are this year. And even if they were, say, 7 and say, let's see, let's go back 6-8. Even if they're 6-3, and if they were ranked in the top 25, they deserve it with the number. If you go back and look at the number of top 25 teams that they've had to play that were ranked at the time they played, they've had a very tough schedule, and I think they deserve what they gotten this year. So, poor choice, I say. And then let's see. SBD girl says, with the fact that college teams are made up of kids who can play for 4 years, there should be a lot of movement from year to year logically. Yes, you would think so, but now, as if you go back to the week that Culture Casino and I talked, there are other factors out there that are starting to influence and change that. They're no longer just 4 years at one place. You've got this transfer portal where players can jump schools. Almost it's like every year schools are having to re-recruit their players to keep them there, especially in light of what's called the NIL, which is a licensing thing where players can name, image, likeness, where the players can make money now. So can you make more money playing in Gainesville at the University of Florida or the University of Alabama? Especially if Alabama or Georgia that are winning titles, or how does a school like even Auburn stand up when they're so far down? There's a lot more pressure on these things now that are resulting in the rich getting richer, and I hate the saying, but the rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer. These teams can reload very easily nowadays, the bigger schools, because of their assets and their resources, and especially if they have ways and names to get players making more money under these agreements. So, there's a lot of other factors there. I wish it was truly amateur sports like it used to be, but we're moving into a new age where the rules are changing. They're murky, and there's going to be a lot of changes over the years. But is it good for college football? I don't know. I think the best thing for college football is when you have the turmoil and the chaos. A year like Cincinnati did last year, making the playoffs, or a year that Colorado could win. In the 1990, there's a tied championship between Georgia Tech and Colorado. There's years that I saw the stat. I don't remember the year, but it was in a game yesterday. I think it was in the early 2010s. But basically, they showed all the ranked teams in that year. Well, it was the 16th ranked team, Ohio State, that actually won the national title last year, or that year. Those are the cool years that I like, when the teams that can come from nowhere win it. It makes it exciting. Okay, sorry, Whoopa. I keep thinking SEC only, but I forget you're a Big 12 guy. Yeah, 3 losses appearing that high. I mean, I'm even shocked Notre Dame got ranked with some of their losses, but I think Texas got a lot of grace this year because of what they did to Alabama. Nearly did to Alabama. They should have won that game if they could have run the clock out a little bit, better ball management. But then the fact that Texas's quarterback got hurt early, I tell you, if their starting quarterback had not gotten knocked out, I think Texas might have kicked Alabama's ass pretty good that day, because Texas was moving that ball. That crowd was a riot. That was interesting. Like I said, I've been in Sanford Stadium in Athens. I've been in certain other stadiums. I'd like to get a game in Athens, but I tell you what, from what I saw, I think that Austin would be a party town and a good place to watch a college football game. So maybe one day, I don't know. I like to go to places. Maybe one day I'll make it to Austin. One day maybe I'll make it to Knoxville. Maybe I'll just, maybe we can win the lottery this week and be able to afford all that stuff and go to every football stadium in America and judge which one's best. Yep, I know, Big 12, sorry. And I got you, UT. Hey, make sure you cut CJ off if there's too much. Plus, also, Squeak, I'm for 100% alcohol. The 6% alcohol by content. What is that anyway? See the NIL making things even more even. To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the concept. Yeah, but the problem is I mean, my distrust is that the bigger schools are going to be the ones that get the bigger players because they can probably get them the better NIL deals. So that's why I'm afraid that it may be more even among the bigger schools. But what player is going to go to Vanderbilt on an NIL deal? You know, so you never know. I mean, but apparently Deion Sanders has got some way to get people to come to Jackson State and skip some of the big schools. So might need to become like pro sports and all of this sus money stuff, cap on how much they can pay players. Yeah, that's also been part of the big debate. The NIL was really almost a compromise to get everybody off the NCAA's back in a way. But yeah, you still got the old guard of, well, you get paid with a scholarship, and then what do you do to pay players? But then again, the biggest debate's always been, how does a smaller school stay on an even footing with this bigger school that could pay more? And trying to keep things equitable. So, wow, 1.9 billion. It only went up to 1.9 billion. Dang. Well, we didn't win it this week, so Monday, tomorrow. Okay. Just the thought of that. Anyway, that's crazy. So, Rupa says, I think it'll probably keep the rich richer, but it could also be the rich are much more even now. Exactly. I agree with that statement. You're talking about between Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, teams like that, which to me as a college football fan becomes the sad part, is because look at a team like Utah, even UCLA. Well, UCLA, USC are bigger schools. It's hard to throw them in there. They've had history, but say like a team like NC State, that doesn't have the tradition, doesn't have the resources, but they happen to get hot one year. That would be something for them. They won't be able to keep up with the bigger teams, even in the conferences like Clemson. Clemson will get more of those players, but you never know. You never know. It just still be interesting to see how that works. So I think it will lose a burden. They know to get the money from Mizzou, and they still have draft stock. Yeah, and that's true. I mean, I think a lot of players still go back to playing time. Is a big factor. Do you want to go somewhere and sit on a bench for 2 years waiting, or do you want to go somewhere where you can play sooner, get on the field, and get tape, get your football playing on tape, and be able to be evaluated for the next level, because you don't necessarily want to stay in 4 years in college if your goal is to get to the next level. So, oh man. And then say poor choices. That's funny. I wonder if it's run by two ladies too. Podcast. Oh, that's interesting. Oh my gosh. Yeah, lump sum after tax would be like 500 million, something crazy. Yeah, look at all the taxes that got taken out. I heard last week's 1.4, and it was like 400 million that you got. That's all crazy, but hey. Oh man, hey, this has been fun tonight. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. So we've been going near close to, since as our good friend CJ kept saying, I ended up fashionably late. We are probably nearing an hour now, so. I want to go ahead and thank everybody for being here. Thank you for, let's see. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I could live with 100 million. I told the missus she could take the 400, I'd take the 100 million. Well, there you go. We're still less than an hour. Cool. All right. Well, unless anybody has any other topics, we really hit a lot of stuff tonight in a short period of time. I thank everybody. Goodbye, Daisy. Thank you all for being here. Liam too, absolutely. Thank you for being here. It makes me want to stream more and to do some things. And thank you all for being here. I would not be here doing this without you. maybe I would. I don't know. But it's the more having you people here, it's like being with friends. And I appreciate it. And just talking with friends and having a good time. And just, it means a lot to me. And, having the feedback really does help. And, doing different things, I mean, more than just Fortnite. And I hope to have some more stuff coming up, especially when we get out of football season, to introduce some more things and do some neat things. And then, okay, yeah, I agree. $50 ketchup. No. Ketchup is nice. You don't call. No. So with this means CJ is like MacGyver. $50 and a packet of ketchup. Although this person can do fancy things on a can, so with a hammer, and then the missus can do everything with duct tape. You want to see somebody do something? Watch the missus when she gets a roll of duct tape and see what she does. So anyway, on that note, folks, thank you all for being here. Love you all. Thank you again for being here and for your support. Follow us on the Twitch side. Like the video, subscribe on the YouTube side, share it out, tweet it out, get the word out. This has been a fun first season. We're 10 weeks through. We've got 3 more regular season weeks, and then we got playoffs and championship coming up. So, just don't give up on us now. Just don't give us up on now. And I see, yes, SPD girl, you should see what the missus has been able to do with our vehicles with duct tape. It's been quite impressive. So I don't make her mad. So anyway, you guys, our next show is currently scheduled for Thursday night at 8 p.m. I say currently because we don't know what's going to happen with some weather forecasting coming up. If you look out in the Atlantic, there's possibly something brewing. And so we're not sure what the time frames, but if not Thursday, it probably will be on Friday night, we think. But, please tune in Thursday, Friday, whatever it is, because if you ever did tune into a show, this is the one to show. I mean, I've had amazing guests, and I've been blessed to have so many guests and so many, what I consider big names and stuff that have come here and graced my channel. People that are not, just so many people, and several that are in the chat tonight. The great Squeaka with her powered cheese in our second week, who only was one game behind me. Whoopa Troopa with his Super Whoopa this week, kicking my butt badly. It really, really was something. But yeah, I'm being dramatic in this case. If you can be here this week, it'd really, really be nice to support, because my kid Ang will be our guest this week. A lifelong Georgia Bulldog fan that rebelled from an early age, but that's fine. I'm okay. There are bigger things to worry about than if your kid likes the opposite football team. But if y'all could be here and support the stream then, and support Ang being here, it's going to be a wonderful time. I'm looking forward to it. And, just really looking forward to Thursday or Friday, whenever we're able to do that. So, getting a little emotional right now, but that's okay. I think it's really awesome for that. I've seen the links put out there, thanks to SPD Girl, CJ, and others that, for all the latest of when we go live at spur of the moment, whether it's Fortnite, a show and tell, or anything else. Follow us at Twitter, DadmanWalking55. That's the best place to see when we go live or what's coming up. Also, follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv, DadmanWalking55. Leave us a follow over there if you haven't already. And then on the YouTube side, obviously, DadmanWalking55. We try to make it easy for everybody. Make sure you like the videos and subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. If you know people that like football, just share it with them. And, hopefully we can grow next year. And maybe next year we can do bigger and better things. Maybe we can have some collabs with other people, other streamers. Maybe we can get more conferences involved in this. This year was I know the SEC, but, with making contacts with new and great people, we may be able to make it bigger and better next year. So, and I thank y'all all for that. And Whoopa, thank you. Yeah. Oh gosh, Whoopa. Oh man. Oh geez. Yeah, when it rains and pours. But hey, thank you, Whoopa. You were a great guest this week. We went almost 2.5 hours. We almost went 2.5 hours. That was amazing, and we did not stop talking. So it was crazy. And so thank you again, Whoopa. It was a great week. And yes, she did kill me, CJ. Technically, I was knocked. She did die because Dave had to get her card. Dave rebooted me. But yes, she's the one that knocked me off the big panda head. So it's yeah, she died. Yeah. And listen, Whoopa is the superest. Hey. Yep. Hey. I'm learning how to get better at rambling too, Whoopa. But hey, it's all good. You came up with some great stats. So anyway. But on that note, I will say good night, everybody. Thank you all for being here. It's been a wonderful stream. Just y'all are amazing people to stay here, listen to me and for an hour. And thank you for your chat. Thank you for your input tonight. And look forward to seeing you the next time. All right. Bye, everyone. Bye.